All right, man. This is Marcus. Marcus is coming on the podcast as a record-breaking powerlifter, recommended through Jen Thompson. Thank you so much, Marcus, for coming on the podcast, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Marcus is Adodo. Is that the last name?
Adodo.
Adodo. I'm sorry. Say that again.
Adodo. You had it right.
Awesome. So, Mark, can you tell me a little bit about your background and how you got into powerlifting in the first place?
Sure. So I'm originally from Paterson, New Jersey. I probably lived there since 5th grade. Moved down here 6th grade. I played sports majority of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, I played soccer. I didn't play it. I didn't play like organized. When I did play it, it was like with Hispanic people, which ironically are the toughest people to play soccer against because it's actual football. But I would play with them, and my dad, he's Nigerian, I'm Nigerian, so when it come to actual football, it was a part of the culture, not something you kind of just did.
Nice.
So when football came on, my dad would like watch it on the weekends, and it would be like an all-day affair because so many different teams were playing. But yeah, moved to after moving from there to North Carolina, middle school, I started playing sports, started playing football, ran track. And track was what I wanted to go to college for and like really pursue. But something that would constantly hold me back was just injuries and getting hurt, and ironically not being strong enough to, stay healthy and, move faster. Because I think that's like a huge problem, is that there isn't strength training in those earlier stages. It doesn't have to necessarily be weights, but there has to be some degree of resistance training at that early age so you can kind of continue to progress. And by the time I got to high school, I just kept falling apart. So I kind of knew like track wasn't going to be it. So I started like lifting weights. And then by the time I got to college, my best friend, Bruce, we're still close, he showed me powerlifting. And then since my freshman year, I kind of been doing it ever since.
Nice. Why powerlifting? Is it just because your buddy introduced you and that's it, or something must have appealed about it, in some way?
So it was I've always been in the gym, like from an early age. My dad would, as soon as I got up in the morning, I had to do 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, and then I could carry on with the rest of my day. And this was like night and day. And there were days where when I didn't do it, I would literally get in trouble. And I could be late for school and he'd be like, "Did you do it?"
Wow.
And I'd be like, "No." And then he'd be like, he'd just point to the ground, and it's like, "All right, get to work." But this sport is not hard, if that makes sense. Like, I know a part of it is the way I was raised and my upbringing and just like real life situations. But when I got to powerlifting, I was like, oh, I get to be in the gym and do what I already love to do in a competitive setting. I'm like, all right, cool. So it wasn't like a big transition athletic wise, because if anything, you have to do less athletic things. You're moving in one plane. There's nothing else to worry about. So there wasn't a problem with that or the mentality switching to a different type of atmosphere, different type of level of physicality. Because it's not person to person anymore. Now it's just you and iron. And I'm like, all right, this is casual. Let's do this.
I like it. Just so everybody gets an idea of what your numbers are. What do you squat, bench, deadlift? Like, what do you got right now?
Well, that depends. Are we talking about in comp? Because, are we talking about clout lifts? Or are we talking about in competition?
Let's talk competition lifts first, and then we'll go for like Instagram stuff.
my competition best is 699, 418, 413, 418. And then deadlift is 755.
Damn.
Wow. It's crazy because like to not the normal or average, I don't want to say it like that, but like that's not a lot. Like it's a lot, but when you're competing with the people that you're competing against, and now that we have the dots formula, it's like that was cool when you were just going to nationals to compete against your weight class, but against all the people, nah, that's like you gotta like I'm don't get me wrong, like I'm still 1%, but like
Yeah.
1% is not enough.
I get it. I mean, but you're also in a tested division, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So I mean, you're doing this all natural. What
And I moved up 2 weight classes in like the span of 2 years.
Holy cow. So what's your current weight class?
100 now.
Okay, so it
Yeah.
100 kilo, which is what is that in
220.
pounds? 220. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, because your physique is insane. I mean, you've got an insane amount of muscle.
Yeah.
More than I yeah, it's impressive that and able, especially being able to do all of that naturally. Like, did you have that kind of muscle tone right out of the gate? Or I mean, I know this has developed over years and years and years, but like, did you have a lot of that naturally?
Yes, like I had the potential for it, if that
Okay.
makes sense. Like
Yes.
I could have continued running,
Mhm.
and I would not have looked the way I do now. Because even now, like if you understand like people's biology, not biology, but if you understand people's physiology and
Mhm.
joint structure and things like that, I'm supposed to be like sprinting. I'm not supposed to be doing this. I have very small joints. Uh but just like anything else, over time your body adapts to it.
Mhm.
But for the most part, yeah, I've had the potential to do it. It wasn't until I got older and I started really learning how this works. And to keep it a stack, I feel like I just now got to a point where I know what's going on since
Mhm.
I gained weight all over again. I feel like I'm just now getting to the point where it's like, okay, we figured out all the lifts. All right, now let's just give it time. Because before you're in that weird, my leverages are different. How am I supposed to do this? What's the technique for that? This, that, and the third. And I've struggled with that for like a year as I gained weight. And then I had to gain more weight. And it was like this constant, what am I supposed to do? But now it's like, okay, now I know what I'm supposed to do.
Sure, I hear you. How old are you now?
I'm 27.
27. Okay. Yeah, you're a monster for 27. Jeez. Um, what made you want to compete? So you got into powerlifting, but not everybody who powerlifts competes. When was your first competition? What made you want to enter?
Um, it's crazy because the first competition I couldn't get into, and
Oh,
then it's funny because Jen hosted it, and it was the procrastinators challenge. Because yes, it's so funny. You had to ask her about it, but she they had to make a meet for people who were too late to sign up for the other one, and then it's crazy. They gave out hourglasses as trophies. Yeah,
that's
that was
hilarious.
hilarious.
Wow.
But that was my first one, and I've always had a competitive nature. Like I don't care what we're doing. I don't like if me and my grandma are playing Scrabble. I'm like, Grandma, you finna get this work. Like let's go. It doesn't, and it's crazy because I've been a sore loser for a very long time because I am. I'll be honest. Yeah, I've always been a sore loser because of just how competitive I am, and that's something I had to work on. But I've always been like extremely competitive. I don't care what we're doing, and you might not be competing with me even when we're doing something, but I'm competing with you or with myself, whether you want to know it or not. So it's like for me to enjoy a lot of things, I have to make it like that. And I don't know if that's healthy,
Mhm.
but that's just my nature. And it's like that's kind of just what drives me. So like I said before, like when it came to actually trying to compete, it wasn't a thing. It wasn't like I had to like flip the switch. It was like, okay, here's another thing I get to compete at. All right, let's do it.
Do you feel like if it wasn't competitive at all, that there probably wouldn't have been that draw for you?
I want to say, I probably still would have done it.
Mhm.
Um, the first couple meets I've done, no shade to whoever I was competing against, but it wasn't competition
Yeah.
because I was that strong, and people were kind of just like, who is this guy? But I needed a way to push my own self,
Mm.
and use that competitive energy because I didn't have it anywhere else. Like I said, I wanted to run, I wanted to sprint, but the injuries kept, like, I strained my groin really bad running a 400 at this. You've heard of Myers Park, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll never forget it. I think I ran, my coach clocked like 49. Um, yeah, I could run. Like that was my heart, soul, and passion. Like I loved it so much, and I really wanted to like be on that level. But that was the race where I strained my groin like really, really, really bad.
Ooh.
And I was like, this doesn't feel right. And it took so long to recover from. And I just needed something else to do. Like it was killing me that I couldn't move my body in some way, shape, or fashion. So I think I still would have done it. I still would have probably been powerlifting.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. Um, you're competing in a pretty elite club. I mean, what do you attribute to getting this strong? I know when I was talking with Jen, she does just from a technical standpoint. I mean, she's doing a lot of static hold stuff. I know there's a lot of there are some. I don't want people listening to this podcast to think like it's all genetics. There is some of that, but like it's a lot of hard work. Like, what do you attribute a lot of the muscle growth, the power building that you're doing? Like, how do you attribute getting this strong to?
Honestly, my anger. Like I spent a great deal of life where people told me that I couldn't do things, or
Mm,
I was gonna get washed, or there's people bigger than me, and then there's people stronger than me, and you can't do this and you can't do that. And I was like, that I remember telling one of my not professors, one of my teachers in high school. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna start powerlifting. And he was like, you gonna start powerlifting? They're gonna wash you.
oh my
And I was like, all right, bet. And then I think no, I didn't think. I don't know how long it was, but I think it was 2018. It was either 2018 or 2017.
mm,
I was ranked 7th in the IPF at 83.
holy shit.
And so that's world. That's in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
That's not washed. You know what I mean?
No.
And so a lot of it is just like proving myself right. And that's the mentality that I'm still on now. It's like I know what everybody else is saying, but it's like what is my voice saying? What is my spirit? What is my internal voice? What is it saying to me? And just listening to that, and just like taking everything and just like putting it out there.
Yeah. Wow.
It ironically had nothing to do with training. It had everything to do with what I believed I could or couldn't do.
That seems to be what it drives. I had a very similar conversation with Betsy Parmley, who's Parmesan on Instagram. You may have run across her. She got bullied a lot in a little bit different
Yeah,
situation, like bullied a lot in high school. Like, you can't do this or whatever. You have to act a certain way. And at a certain point, I think you just get like F it.
get
Like,
that up.
I'm just gonna go and grind, you know.
Yeah,
So it seems to be a
I
commonality
I,
amongst powerlifters.
I definitely I used to get bullied, so I definitely know what that's like. That
Yeah.
joint is not cool.
No, and you say, look at it. I mean, look at you now. Like, I don't think any of those guys would ever touch you now, but
Absolutely not.
my goodness, like if they knew the kind of person they were messing with, I just it would never been a reality. It's just interesting to see the motivations too behind some of this stuff. So it's really interesting to me. What is your philosophy on training? So you can get as practical or technical as you want, doesn't matter. But how do you train, and how is it different from, say, how maybe a standard powerlifter might train?
It's really crazy because I used to be balls to the wall, and I used to be like, I gotta go hard all the time.
Hmm.
And that's different when you're trying to change your body aesthetically. Um, and I got that part. But powerlifting is a neural effort sport. It's neurally driven, and that's why like this people be power building, and it's like it sounds cool, but you can't really maximize either of them unless you're training them in phases, training like certain you're training for hypertrophy in a certain phase or a certain part of the year where you might be in the off season. So maybe you can take 4 to 6 months and actually focus on hypertrophies. It's probably going to be a little concurrent, meaning that there's a lot of different things. I think that's what the right word, but a lot of different things going on in a training program.
Yep.
Versus maybe I'm closer to competition. There's not as many accessories, there's not as many options, and I'm just focusing on being as specific as I possibly can be. But it's ironic, like I think because I have such a strong foundational base and I have so much muscle mass, training is weird because I'm literally doing the least amount of work, and mentally it feels so wrong because I'm like, man, like my week 2 is so easy. My week 3 is still pretty easy. I might push it week 4, but the only reason week 4 is difficult is because the way my body accumulates fatigue over a training block is way different than the next guy. Like I feel like sometimes I lift like a super heavyweight. It's really weird. I'm just learning this about myself, is that I can, over a course of 4 weeks, I can start week 1 and I can squat like 365. And then week 4, I can squat like 7. And it's like, yeah, I literally go like 300 to 400, mid 5, upper 5, mid 6, and then 7 something. And I've gotten stronger. I've accumulated enough volume, and it's just like, this is it's kind of scary easy. But I think because I've created such a strong foundation, it's almost over like the past, almost 15 years, I think that it's almost like a treat. It's like you did all the stuff that you were supposed to do on the front end. Now that you actually listen to your body and you figured out what you're supposed to be doing, do this now and we're gonna get strong. Yep. So it's weird. It's like less is more. I'm resting more than ever. I'm napping more than ever. I'm encouraging myself to not go hard even when I feel good, because I don't have to. Like people are still trying to build their quad, not still trying to build their quads. Like you should still be trying to build everything, but people are putting like crazy amounts of emphasis on growing body parts. And it's like, I don't have to do that. As I don't have to do that as hard as the next person, but more of my effort is spent actually focusing on the neural aspect of it because I've built such a great foundation.
So do you attribute a lot of that to, were you doing a lot of hypertrophy circuits early on to build that up and get that base? Okay.
That's all I was doing. Like before, see, now there's almost like an access of information. There's too much. And it's, there's science-based training, there's RPE, there's this, there's that. When I started, like Lane Norton made PH3. Like that was the cool thing. CT Fletcher just came out. Mike Rashid just came out. So I'm doing boulder shoulder, lateral raise, shoulder press, running a rack, supersets, and doing leg extensions in between, just wild stuff like that. And weighted pull-ups and overhead pressing. Like I'm doing bent over rows with like 315. Like I'm just trying to move weight because I see like that's what these bigger guys are doing, going to failure, overtraining, getting sick, recovering, go do it again. Like I'm just like a young kid, just like, let's get swole. Like it's crazy because like getting swole was like, it was cool.
Yeah.
But now it's like, let's get scientific. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's like, if you do it right, it's almost like you get this. And like, I don't know, it's weird, but I can definitely say because I spent all those times, all that time mastering the foundations
Mm.
and the fundamentals and just doing like the body, like actual bodybuilding. Like people go to the gym and be like, yeah, I'm gonna just probably hit a bodybuilding workout today and then do lateral raises for 3 sets of 12. I'm like, what are you, stupid? That's not a workout.
Yeah.
Five exercise. So, you got a compound, you went and do some barbell shoulder press, then you did a dumbbell shoulder press, and then you did some lateral raises, some face pulls, some rear delt flies, and then you did some cardio and you left. Like me and my boy used to be in the gym for hours, literally lateral raising until we couldn't lateral raise, and then come in the next day and hit legs, and then like try to see if we could still shoulder press a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And you do that for enough years, you look like this.
Yeah.
Now, not to get me wrong, there was injuries and a lot of things along the way, but I feel like I did it right. I learned what to do, I learned what not to do. And especially like as a coach with my athletes now, we do similar things, but we don't go overboard. And there's a time when we do those things. And I make sure that when they start getting ahead of themselves, that I reel them back in and be like, hey, remember, this is why we're doing this. Make sure that we're not over pushing. We're not doing this because this is what's going to happen. Trust me, I know. I got you. Let's just do it like this, So, yeah.
I like it. So that's my next question is, what would you tell somebody who wants to get as strong as you? Start with that hypertrophy base and work up from there, particularly if they want to get into powerlifting, or would you tell them just jump straight into the type of training that you're doing now?
I think that the problem is the newer lifter just hops right into powerlifting and has
Mhm.
no foundation whatsoever. It's like putting a cinder block on a stale spaghetti noodle. It's like, why would you do that? You know what I mean? And like people, I love the fact that people love the sport and they're like trying to get right and they're trying to get in it. But it's like, if you want to last for a long time, you need a lot of muscles and
Mm.
they need to be strong. You need to be strong in different planes and rotations. You need to be um balanced. You need to have you need to focus on those common weaknesses that majority of people have, like people's low backs are weak, people's hamstrings and glute. Basically, everything behind you is weak. But because we've been the show muscle, we think the show muscles are the go muscle, but that's not it. And they don't even know what the difference is between either of those things. And it's just like, if you want to get into powerlifting, spend that time, that extended period of time getting bigger, building more cross-sectional mass, and actually like putting some size on. One thing that I tried to do as I got stronger as the years progressed is that I would look in the mirror and I would look at my body and I could tell where I was weak at. Like there was a time where my biceps overpowered my triceps. And if you look at the like an average lifter, you can see them, and then you miss out on lockout, or you struggle in the middle, or or whatever the case may be. And it's like I would look at myself and I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna go fix that. Just take about 6 to 8 weeks, and then like hammer it. Everybody wants to be strong, but nobody wants to be weak. And it's like that's the weird part to me, because I know that I have to look at what's wrong with me in order to get better. But people are flipping it around, and it's like you got the idea wrong, but nobody's preaching that type of thing. Powerlifting has to look pleasing. It can't look like powerlifting.
Nobody wants to start at the beginning.
Yeah. But that's where all the good stuff is.
Right. Well, that's what the gains are too.
If you do it right, all of it is at the beginning, man.
Yeah. Do you think there's any I've heard a couple of people now talk about the back being one of the most important, like a well-developed back being extremely important to powerlifting. I don't think they were saying that about bodybuilding so much, but powerlifting in particular. Any merit to that, or you think it's really more about lower body?
No, I agree, because it's the platform for everything.
Hmm.
When it's time to squat, the bar doesn't go on your biceps
Yeah.
unless you're about to tear one from holding the bar. Everybody's been holding the bar all crazy like, and you know why? Is because they're looking for that pseudo tension and they can't actually flex their lats because they don't have any. They don't know how to hold that position, and or maybe they do and they can't because they're literally not strong enough to maintain that position. When it's time to bench, we lay on our backs. We don't lay on our chests. We lay on our we lay on our back. When it's time to deadlift, our back, our spine is stationary and it needs to stay the same way the whole time. So it's like I said, I was doing rows with like 315. I was just doing a bunch of ignorant shit. Excuse my language. I was just doing a bunch of ignorant shit, and it's like it paid off because all the guys that I seen that were in strength or in fitness, they always preached the back is your foundation. They would treat back. So I was doing pull-ups. I was doing weighted pull-ups. I was doing rows of all sorts. I was doing bent over rows. And it's like, what's the best exercise? All of them. All of them. Rotate them. Do them a bunch of different kinds of ways. There's no bad exercise because anyone could take that and have their way with it. But like do them all, see what works, cycle them, and just repeat.
Yep. Yep. I think to your point about it's not a show muscle, therefore people don't want to do it. Also, I found it's pretty hard to, unlike some other muscles, it can be, especially for new lifters, really hard to feel that you're working
Yeah.
those muscles like lats and anything back here. Like you don't know, or you don't even know if you're isolating sometimes, in those locations. So I'm sure that's what makes it a little bit more difficult for some people.
Nah, definitely. That makes sense.
So, you mentioned earlier that, and I think it's on your profile too, that you're more doing power building, which I always thought was just a crappy hybrid between powerlifting and bodybuilding. But when I talk to Jen and I also talking to you, I'm doing that and I like it because I don't have to kill myself with hypertrophy so much, but I'm also getting some powerlifting work in. Why have you settled on that primarily as kind of your training style of choice? Like, and why
So
why is the hybrid model not taking away from the powerlifting?
so the reason why I call myself a power builder is because I can power lift, but I can also bodybuild. And I mean that like if I were to go do a workout with bodybuilders, I can hang.
Hmm.
The next guy who calls himself a power builder, when it's time to run the rack on rows, they tapping out. Or it's time to do an excessive amount of reps on bench press, they gonna tap out. But like me, like I'm built different. Like I can go
Mhm.
and I used to run the 4 and I feel like I still will get a second wind.
Mm.
It's like when with track and you're training and you get tired and then it's like the middle of the workout and then you're just not tired anymore. And then like when I train like that, like I can literally train for like maybe 4 or 5 hours. I mean, my powerlifting workouts are that long, but I used to train bodybuilding that long. Now there's science that says that after a while it's not ideal to continue to keep training, but I can keep going. I would have Gatorade or some type of carb supplement or whatever the case may be, peanut butter jelly sandwich, and I could just go. And I feel like a lot of people don't know their like how to really push that work capacity,
Mhm.
and so they say I'm a power builder, but you'd be like I said, you'd be like, hey, let's run the rack, and they're like, what does that even mean? And it's like, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
I would work out with people, grown men who would run the rack and superset with something else, just like doing some really wild stuff. And it's just like they look like this for a reason.
Yeah.
And I feel like with power building, it kind of gives people the excuse to not go so hard
Hmm.
and not push it. But I don't know. I view the term differently. Like there's powerlifters, there's bodybuilders that can't do the opposite.
Yeah.
They can't lift that heavy. Like I've trained with dudes who are bodybuilders, and once we got to a certain weight, they would tap out and they'd be like, okay, let's rep out. And I'd be like, okay, let's do that. And I'd still be good. I can do a high bar, I can do a low bar, we can front squat. It doesn't matter. I have the work capacity to do both. So that's how I look at the term.
Gotcha. Do you think a lot of that has to do more with like traditionally work capacity in my mind has always been built up with like cardio. I know there's different schools of thought on this. Like the more hypertrophy you do, the better you get at hypertrophy. Do you think it's a little bit of both, or I don't know, like it is cardio just what place do you think cardio has in that?
I think that when you lift, there is a essence of cardio, because there are people who only lift weights and they don't do cardio,
Right.
and their heart rate is like crazy low. Their resting heart rate is like, whoa, are you dead, dude?
Yeah.
But it's like they've pushed their body to a heart to like so high, their heart rate is like through the roof, and they're just like, now there's that cardio, and then there's like muscular endurance, and I feel like there's a lot of different things that like kind of tie in. But it's weird. I see most of the guys who like actually have a good work capacity, when it's time to do like other strenuous things, it's not like, it doesn't take a toll. It's not difficult.
Yeah.
Like I personally think that I could get on a rower for a good minute and it wouldn't kill me. Like you put a powerlift on a rower, mind you, I don't row. Like I
Yeah.
used to. I used to do it all the time.
Yeah.
But I think I could get on a rower and I could like give you a solid pace for a long time.
Nice.
I don't think everyone can do that.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
They definitely can't. Okay, interesting. Yeah, because traditionally powerlifters are like it's no cardio all day.
They be like, oh, I got 3 sets of 10. That's cardio. I'm like, I just be wanting to tell them like, are you lazy? Or have you never played? Either I'd be thinking, I'm like, all right, this person's either lazy or they've never played a sport in their life.
Yeah.
Because if you think 3 sets of 10 is cardio, me and my boy, we would go to the gym and legit do 6x12.
Oh my gosh.
And when he was done, it was my turn.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
You guys don't mess around.
I'll just be like, why are y'all lazy? I think y'all are lazy. I don't think y'all really understand how to get strong or what it takes. And I get like not liking doing everything in a training program,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like when you're really trying to get after it, it kind of just goes away. Like you don't think about difficult things the same way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I'm just crazy. I don't know.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. Controversial question. Do you think it's better to, if you had have to choose, better to look strong or to be strong?
Ooh. I think it's more important to be strong, because it depends. I feel like it depends. I feel like it depends, because there are people who know about something and they don't look like they know about that thing. And then you see them in that thing and it's like, oh snap, my bad, bro. I ain't mean to disrespect. And then it's like you got people thinking that because they look a certain way, they are that thing, and they're not. So it's like it's never what it is anymore. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I've spoken to people who don't look like they're strong, but the way that they apply it or they're able to teach it is what shows that strength.
Yeah.
And now, because I was open-minded, now I got game now versus somebody who looked at somebody like, I know people look at me like they look at me like the opposite. Like I look strong, but I don't know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of gotta let it slide and just be like, all right, cool. But like my coach, for example, he don't look like a power lifter,
Mm-hmm.
but this is like one of the smartest people that I've ever conversed with. And I'll just be like, when we talk about certain things and when he's giving me advice and tips or this, that, and the third, I'm just soaking it all in because I know he coaches Jamal, he coaches Rondell, um, Johnny, and a couple other people.
Wow.
And they're the strongest people in the world. So it's
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it's a different kind of strong. Well, and also he's become technically proficient too. Like he's able to pass that on to you and make you a better lifter. Um,
Exactly.
I wanted to transition a little bit and talk about the strength vault. So, is that a gym? Is that a training program? Like, how did that get started, and what is it?
Yes, it's a gym actually started during COVID. I needed a place to, I got furloughed from Lifetime.
Oh no.
So we were like, oh snap, what are we gonna do? Me and my girlfriend Jess. And we started in the garage and then we're in the gym now.
Wow.
It's a warehouse space, it's probably like somewhere around 1,500 square feet.
Okay.
But we made it ours. And now it's like this whole, in right now it's still ours. And over time, like it's just been creeping up to that point where it's going to be a thing. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um we're here, we're in Indian Trail, but it's like I can't describe it. It's like a vibe. And certain things they either like remain the same or they kind of die out. But I feel like what we have is going to be very large. I don't know the time frame. I don't know this, that, and the third, but it's like the way the pace is and the way like people are gravitating to us and what we have in there is just turning it to something that's significantly better than what we thought it was going to be.
Nice. Oh man, where in Indian Trail? Now I'm curious. I know a little bit of the area.
You know where Kate's is?
Yeah, for sure.
We're like to the left of it. It's a warehouse
Oh, no
in the
kidding.
back. There's a
Okay, gotcha.
KFC. Yeah.
I know exactly where we are. Awesome. Might need to swing. So, is it open to the public, or is it like a just a personal training gym right now?
It's semi-private. So like
Okay.
we have a member cap and you kind of have to reach out when you if someone's dropping in. But yeah, it's open. You just can't walk in though.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. You can't just like traipse in any time of the day. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
And are you always intending for it to be kind of? Are you like what's the goal there? Is elite training center or competitive powerlifting? Like what's the end goal?
The goal is elite training center,
Okay.
but we want to be able our kind of philosophy is that we teach the average person and we make them an athlete and we show them why the same way like the same way I treat my regular clients is how I treat my athletes and vice versa. And we show them why it's important for them to take care of themselves, to sleep, to train hard. You don't have to be competing to be an athlete. You don't have to there isn't a look. But we do want people to take control of their life, of their mindset, and we want them to grow and evolve and change. And we just teach the regular person how to do that, how to become something that they couldn't even imagine. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep. Is the just from a equipment standpoint, because I think it's really hard. We were thinking about moving out to Indian Trail at one point, but I just noticed there's a real lack of good gyms with good equipment that particularly they cater to like the powerlifting crowd. Like, what's the setup look like there right now?
It's like strictly strength training, like just the strongman. So we're starting to lean more into that as well. But it's barbells, and steel.
Nice.
Like we have like a cable crossover, reverse hyper dumbbells, cedar row, but it's barbells and steel. And it's like, it's crazy. I used to think that I needed more. You've heard of the office gym, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I would go to the office and I thought that I needed all those things in there to get strong. But as I got older and I realized like what I was trying to do with TSV, I was like, I want those things. I don't need them. And before I even started strength training, this was all I had. So it's like, it kind of reminded me to go back to the foundation, to the root, to the core, and really just focus on improving at those things. And my physique looks better. I feel like, you know what I mean? I'm heavier, but I feel like I look denser now. I'm stronger because I sat there and I paid attention to those core movements and I focused on doing them right. And yeah, you don't need, you want those things. Some of those things come in handy, but like when people started strength training, originally it was plates, barbells, cage,
Yeah.
bands, and you figured it out. Like you could rig a hamstring, see a hamstring. You could, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I feel like when people, and I'm guilty of this myself, I'll be like, oh, I need this, I need this. I didn't need it. I was being bougie. So many bougie powerlifters, so many bougie people who resistance train, and it's like, you want those things. You don't need that. You can get the job done without all this extra fancy equipment, because there was plenty of people getting it done way before us with less. And I've done more with less. So I had to be like, you know what? Shut your ass up. Let's get down to like the dirt and let's stay here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at like West Side Barbell or even Metroflex in Arlington, where freaking the GOAT Ronnie trained. I mean, the more I see those places and the guys that come out of that, the more I realize like it doesn't matter the freaking equipment that you're on. Like you could be in a rusted out shack in the middle of your backyard. And I've seen guys that train in rusty shacks in the back of their yard and are jacked out of their freaking minds.
Exactly.
So it
they had, they had 225 bolted to the bar, and if you couldn't do that, if you couldn't start at that, then
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's as Eric Bugenhagen loves to say, it's a mindset.
There was this dude at a powerlifting meet a long time ago. He said that the whole meet, and he like crushed it. He was like, it's a mindset. I'll never forget it because he had the mindset and he destroyed that meet. But it's like it is, and that was. I don't want to because I know you still got questions. I don't want to. Mindset is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk a little bit more about that, because like I don't think really people. I want to pound it in people's heads. Like, how important is that to the sport of powerlifting, and why?
Man, I just did nationals, and I shat the bed. I got sick, and I was not able to perform to the standard. And my girl called me out on it too. Like I could have podiumed. I could have did well still, but because my mind wasn't in the right place and I allowed the circumstances to take control of what I was able to do, I couldn't do what I probably could have. And it's like, if my mind was like strong, like it needed to be, then I would have been able to do what I needed to do. And mind you, I'm huge on mental strength, but I got hit with something completely different that I never got hit with before. Yeah. And when it hit me, I wasn't ready for it. And so from that day, I think, do you know when nationals was? I don't remember.
I do not. Not sure.
It was like midsummer, maybe like 4 or 5 months ago, maybe. Those 4 or 5 months, I like went into like the meat locker, and I'm not literally, but like mentally, like it was like a montage. I'm like, you know what? I wrote in my journal. I was like, I want to be stronger than my circumstances. I prayed. I asked God. I was like, I want to be stronger than my circumstances. And then from that day on, it was like I had to look at all of my weaknesses directly in the eye and be like, not today, bitch. So I'm getting up at 9 o'clock I'm eating, I'm drinking a protein shake, I'm stretching, I'm eating, I'm counting my macros, I get a food scale, I'm weighing everything, going outside and making sure I'm getting first day sunlight, sitting out there for a little bit. I'm journaling in the morning. I'm I'm like attacking everything. I'm sitting in deep squats. I'm trying to accumulate time in a deep squat because I got called for depth. I was like, these motherfuckers ain't never gonna call me for depth again. So I'm stretching. I'm improving my flexibility. I'm reading books. When it's time to train, I'm making sure that I'm intentional. I'm not just going in there and just loosey goosey. And mind you, that's not how I am anyway. But I was like, I needed more. I needed to do more. And if I don't know what more is, I need to find it. So I'm talking to this person. I'm like, hey, what do you do when it's time to do this? And I'm picking their brain and I'm taking that and I'm making it mine. And I'm talking to the next person. I'm taking that and I'm making it mine. And I did that for like 4.5 months. And mind you, I had to gain weight also. So like initially when you're trying to gain weight, that first 2.5 weeks is like death. Like you feel like purging your body of food because you can't get it down. But I would literally sit at my desk and I would eat like anywhere like 700 grams of rice, 6, 7 eggs. I'm just eating it. And then a couple hours later, it's time to eat again. And I don't want to do it, but I know that it's time to eat. I can't, that's the problem, is that I wanted to wait. I wanted to feel like I was ready to do it versus doing it because I knew it was time to do it.
Yeah.
Shoot, I started folding clothes. I started making sure Jess needed me to do the dishes more often, this, that, and the third. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. I started just making myself really uncomfortable and checking myself when I saw myself starting to like sway. And it I feel like it transformed me. Even my clients like that I train with, some of my people, my clients that I train with, they were like, dude, you like became a different person. I probably created and broke habits. I've broken habits that I've had for years and created new ones in probably a month.
Wow.
And it was like so hard. Like it was almost like kicking the flu and like just trying to sweat it out. It was like that because when we feel uncomfortable, we're like, no, I'm good. I was taking cold showers. One reason I stopped taking cold showers because it's actually getting cold.
Yeah.
But I would take cold showers before training. I prayed more, I meditated more. I started just like figuring out how I ticked, and then how do I make it tick better, more efficiently? What pisses me off? How can I work on that? The things that grind my gears, the things that I don't need to be paying attention to. And it's not even that now it seems like it's not that I shouldn't pay attention to it. It's that I need to be not bothered by this thing, even though it's here with me, because there's going to come a point where I'm uncomfortable again like that. And it's time for me to compete. And I don't want to, regardless of the circumstance, I want to be able to show up for myself. And it just drove me to like make all these changes. And I compete on Saturday, and Saturday will be the accumulation of the past couple months, and you'll be able to like physically see it and be like, oh snap, this dude is crazy. Like even my client was like, bro, like what? You did what? You did this, you did that. I'm like, yeah, like I had to.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I like
R.I.P. Kobe.
I like it.
That's the Mamba mentality. That's the guy for sure. Like I had to get it. Like I had to figure it out. I had to work. I had to try. I had to outwork, and I'm still in the process of like just getting it together, because when I was 83, I felt like I was dominant and I was a contender. And then to go move up 2 weight classes and like almost start all over.
Yeah.
It's almost like I have to put myself out there all over again. And like now it's like I'm on the mission all over again. And like I told you before, the anger got me here. So I can't remember what allowed me to rise. So now now that I'm bigger, I'm stronger, I'm better. It's like, okay, now we can add the anger, because you can't put anger on a poor foundation, because
Right.
then it's just static and it's messy. Now I have control. It's like, I'm finna show y'all something.
That'll be amazing. What's the event you're going to this weekend again?
Carolina Prime Time.
Excellent. Just want everybody to know on the podcast. So he'll be competing this weekend. Be on the lookout for Marcus there. And I'm sure you'll be breaking more records. And where can people find you here online as well as locally if they want to do coaching or something with you?
IG is Muscle Man Marcus. I got a YouTube, but I don't make them anymore. I should. People will randomly ask me about it, but my IG is Muscle Man Marcus. Yeah, I only have IG.
Okay, awesome. Is that where people contact you for coaching as well? Are you doing that, or you got open spots? Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Awesome, perfect. Well, Marcus, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it, especially in the middle of prep and everything for the weekend comp. Best of luck with that too. I'm sure we'll all be watching, and I'm sure you're gonna crush. So, best of luck, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Great having you on. And I appreciate your time, man.
No, thank you.
All righty, you take it easy.
All right, for sure.
Bye.